to the first in a series of videos about the Fantastic Depths Foundry Virtual Tabletop System. This Foundry VTT system is inspired by Dark Dungeons, which is an OGL retro clone of the Rules Cyclopedia edition of Dungeons & Dragons. Dark Dungeons was written by Blackie the Blackball, and it captures the essence of classic D&D while modernizing and streamlining the rules for contemporary gameplay. Maybe the later editions did that. I might need to change that description a little bit. The system comes with two themes, which are light mode and dark mode. So there's two ways you can install this. There's the stable channel, and then there's the pre-release. If you want all the latest developments and it may have bugs in it, go for the pre-release. If you want something that's had a little more time and been stabilized, I still can't guarantee no bugs, but do my best to keep these bug-free. You can go for the stable build. Let's see, we have a Discord server, which you can go to my GitHub. It's GitHub for Fantastic Depths, and I'll put a link in the description to the GitHub page, and that's where you go to install this. Right now, I've got this submitted. I submitted it a little over a week ago to Foundry to put in their directory, but they have not written me back yet, so I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe just it takes a while. Although when I did my Kernathalis module, they got that done, turned around really quickly, but for some reason I just haven't heard anything back from them. So hopefully they get back to me soon and we can get this on the directory inside of Foundry. Okay, we'll just go over a few things here. I just want to preface this with developments in the, what should I say? Changes in the UI, things like this. They happen every once in a while. The system is fairly stable, but there could be a few changes in the future that make it look different or behave different than it does now. So the version we're on right now, just for reference for this video, is going to be, which I haven't installed, it's going to be this 8.1 RC9. So it's a pre-release 0.8.1 RC9. And so that's going to be what we're going to be running today and installing. And if it gets too out of sync with whatever the latest is in the future, I'll make another video where I do this again. So we have many sheets in this game. There's the character sheet. There's the character sheet has several tabs. There's two different variations of character sheet, which I'll be showing you. There's the monster sheet, and then there's a variety of different items. And we use items also for class so that we can define our own classes. We use items for exploration skills, for saving throws. So everything is extendable, customizable. Not everything, but a lot of it, a lot of the system. But it's not meant, just so you know right up front, full disclaimer, this is not supposed to be a all-inclusive generic role-playing game system. It's not meant to handle everything out there. It's meant to handle games that are like Old School Essentials, or which I have no affiliation with, by the way, and I have no affiliation with Dark Dungeons or any of these people. I've just made a Foundry system that is compatible with these games. And so that'd be something like Basic Expert D&D, and Back Me Rules Cyclopedia, Old School Essentials, and possibly many other retro clones of those systems. Maybe Swords and Wizardry, I don't know. But anything that's very similar to old school D&D type games, this is going to be compatible with, or get you close. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to show you how I install the pre-release. I'm going to right click this link here and copy the link address. And then I'm going to go in here to my game systems and I'm going to say install system, and I'm going to paste that link into the manifest URL down here. Click install. And it installed. We'll close that and we can see the system's installed. Now, if you are going to be playing Dark Dungeons or similar games like that that are compatible, with that type of game, then you will probably want the compendiums, the Fade Compendium. If you're implementing a game like Dolmenwood or some other game that's going to be very different, then you'll probably want to make your own compendiums, and so that'll be a bit of work, but this will give you all the tools you'll need to do that, and I will make another video later where we go over stuff like that. Okay, so the compendiums are here. I'm going to click that link, and I want the manual install. I want the pre-release. So we're going to go over here to the add-on modules. I'm going to install down here in the manifest URL. And there we go. And so that is installed. Then I'm going to create a new world. I'm going to call it Fade Test. Fade is short for Fantastic Depths. I'm going to select the Fantastic Depths system. And I'm going to leave everything else default. Alright, so I'm going to create the world. There it is. And so now we're going to start it. Alright, so what I want to do is go to Manage Modules. So here we go. We're going to save that. It's going to restart. Let's create a scene. Alright, so we got our scene. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to import the compendiums. Now, there is a work in progress code that does all this automatically. I have not released that yet, so I'm just going to do this manually. And there is a wiki page that explains what steps we take to do the import. Go into the wiki on the Fantastic Depths. And here we go. So we want the item compendium, then the actor, roll table, then macro, and we want to make sure that we keep document IDs, that's checked for all of these. So we'll go with the item compendium. We're going to import, check the box, and there it goes. And then we're going to do the actor compendium, check the box. We got that. And then we're going to do our roll tables. And then finally our macros. At the very least, you're going to want the actor and item. I suggest all four imported. Then what I'll do is I will drag some of these. The GM's going to have... actually, I'm going to set the permissions. So we'll just say limited. And so as the GM, you're going to want several things on your hotbar, I think. Maybe you don't. But I put the party tracker, the turn tracker. I think that's it. And then under miscellaneous will be the players. And so for them, actually these can go over here like this. And so over here we can do attack. We can do cast spell. We can do light manager. And we can do this. And then up on 2, I'll just put some of these utility things. Which we probably won't have time to get to all of this. I'm going to keep this video fairly short. So next, I'm going to go to my item compendium. And I'm going to set the folder permission using this macro called update folder and content permissions. we're going to set it to item, and then the folder name is item compendium. And then I want to set that to limited. And you may set it however you want. Limited just lets them see all the stuff, but they can't edit it. Of course, I think they become the owner of it when it's dragged into their inventory, and then a copy is made. I don't give anyone access, my players, to the monsters, so that stays as is. I also don't give them any roll tables. Okay, so now we have the items and the actors. The actors is just a bunch of monsters and beasts and demi-humans and things like that. Monsters, basically. I always bring them into whatever the default folder is. So in the items, we have character classes. These are all your different classes. The conditions, and this isn't fully built out yet. It's just some common conditions that just to show how it works. So classes, you have a description telling you about the class. You've got all your levels defined as well as the XP required, the Thaco at that level, or the to hit bonus depending on what kind of system you're using, the hit dice you have, and does the Constitution modifier apply to the hit dice at that level. And let's pick one that's not starting at 9th level. So cleric. So you can see. You got titles and attack ranks. That's for demi-humans. Here's your saving throws. And this is kind of funky, and I'll probably change this at some point. But for now, the way this works is this is the highest level. So this is kind of like a max level that this saving throw is for. So this would be 0 to 4. And this would be 5 to 8. This one would be up to 12. And the confusing thing is I didn't use the same system for another part because people complained about this. So I figured out a different way. But now we have 2 different ways, and I'll have to come back to this later and make it all consistent. I know, that's a little bit annoying. Here we have the prime requisites. It doesn't really do anything right now. It's just for informational purposes. It's not enforcing this. A lot of the system, I should say, the design philosophy behind it is that I want it to be easy to house rule, easy to run your own way. So it is relatively low on automation. In fact, I spend a lot of time considering what type of automation I should add and what the implications of that are as far as house rules and things like that. And I err on the side of less automation. So if you're the kind of person that loves just everything handled for you, it's like almost a video game, this is not the system for you. It's going to require some manual dungeon mastering or game mastering. Special abilities, these are for the cleric. They gain these special abilities at these levels. So this is how you would configure your class to do something like that. Spells, this is just a matrix of a spell level and then how many spells at that level. Spells, that's it. Description is the description. You have up here, you have your cleric. It's a race human. Doesn't really do a lot. This just when you drag this sheet onto a character, it helps populate some of this stuff. This is just for information alignment. Max level, that sets many things on here. So you want to set that first if you're creating a custom class. Your first level, for instance, the fighter first level is 0, and that'd be normal man. So that's why first level. And the Avenger and some of the higher class variations that you can get, they start at a higher level. You have the max spell level. That's how many spell levels there are. And of course, the minimum constitution, intelligence, dexterity. You can leave them blank if you want, wisdom. And then a key, and the key is used for a few different things. One is, if you're familiar with old school role-playing games and their monster compendiums or monster manuals, often they'll have a saves as, and that means their saving throw is the same as a class of a certain level. So if it was a cleric level 1, it'd be C1. Well, this key is the key for this class, so it can reference it and look it up. And it keeps it as a loose coupling, not trying to do it through a unique user ID or anything. So keeps things loose so you can define these, and these associations will happen behind the scenes. So a fighter is F. So if you had a monster that had a saving throw as a fighter 3, it would be F3, and this is what this setting this here is actually what sets that. Alright, so that's the classes. The conditions, like I said, they're just a set of effects. You can drag these onto a character, it will give them the condition. And then we have our equipment, we have our standard adventuring gear, and there's some different item subtypes within this. You have your gear item, it's called by the system, but then you will have your light items, which are handled a little bit different. Ammunition items. You've got your armor, some clothes, and then some miscellaneous. Just some extra stuff I threw in there. So we'll start with, and weapons. Don't forget the weapons. That's arguably, that and the armor are very important. So this has all the standard weapons from Dark Dungeons. Start with the adventuring gear. Adventuring gear usually has a quantity and a max quantity. It has a name, has a cost, and an encumbrance, which is specified in coins. There's a description. The GM will have the attributes panel, which lets the GM specify some additional things, like, is this item a container? So if it was like a backpack, it's a container, and it's equipable. And being equipable doesn't always do something. Maybe it's just to keep track of the status, of this thing. I've toyed with the idea later of making the backpack so that if you do unequip, you keep it. It's like, or making one that's like dropped. In fact, that'd be better, like a dropped, and then it wouldn't count it in your inventory, but you don't have to get rid of it from your inventory. But anyways, so you can have a container, it can be equipable, and then an item can be a fuel type, and an item can be an ammo type as well. Items can have effects, and then there's a GM only tab where the GM can just write some notes and the players can't see that. Now, not all items are known what they are or what they're called by the player. So if an item is unidentified, it will show the unidentified name. Now, all the regular items, they're identified, but the magic items, they default to not identified, and so it won't say magic sword of awesomeness +7. It's just going to say sword normal. It's just going to look like a normal sword until they identify it. You also have the same thing with the description. So the descriptions will show as whatever's here until it's identified. An object can also be cursed. If an object is cursed, they can't unequip it. The DM, the game master, will have to unequip it. And so if they want to equip it just to try and take a peek at what's going on and gain some knowledge of it, well, they've equipped the item. And now if they want to unequip it, the game master has to say that's okay, because cursed items can't be unequipped until the curse has gone off. And you can assume armor and stuff like that, it is unequipped when they're sleeping, but they're compelled to use it, so it might as well just stay equipped. Okay, so that's some of the basics. Now, in detail, quantity. What is quantity? That's just how many you have of that thing. What is max quantity? That is how many can you have. It's normally going to be 0 for things that you don't need to track the usage of. If it's something where you're going to have several of them and you want to have an easy way to track the usage, you're going to set the max quantity to that number. And I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so this is your basic item. Okay, then we have our light items, and light items are slightly different because the light item has some additional features. Here we can see this light item is a custom type where we can define all kinds of extra things about it, so when this light is used, it behaves a certain way and shows light in a certain way. A lantern's going to be more standard, and we're just going to set that to light type standard. You get to set how long it lasts, the radius, the brightness, and the type of fuel. And the type of fuel, we don't put oil, we put lantern fuel, because maybe there's another type of fuel that could be used in a lantern. We don't know. I don't know. There could be. So I'm not going to call it oil, I'm just calling it lantern fuel. And you can see here the oil flask fuel type is set to lantern, and that will allow this to be used in the lantern. Alright, so we won't go super deep on all this stuff, just a little overview. Next we have ammunition. Ammunition is for a missile device, what we'd call a missile device or missile weapon that isn't thrown. It is equipable because you could have different ammunition, and let's say you want your magic arrows equipped. Well, this is how you specify it. When it's in your inventory, this says it can be equipped, and then you can equip it or not. Ammo type arrow, ammo type pellet. Okay. And then we got our armor, and our armor has a base AC. This is just the base AC without any magic modifiers or anything. Is it a shield or not? Is it natural? If it's natural, that means it's part of the being itself, the monster or whatever. So a monster with a thick hide and natural armor class of 4, this would be checked, and so their naked armor class would be 4. There would always be 4, whether they're wearing armor or not, unlike a demi-human. Okay, then we have some attributes on armor, which is just is it identified or not? And as you see, because it's identified, sometimes these things are blank. In the GM tab, this has a little extra info. It's telling you the total AC and the AC mod. If it were magic armor, there might be a modifier through the effects, and that would show you what that is. Okay, so the shield, same, but the shield is checked. Shield weapon, this is, when you have a shield weapon, you actually have to have the weapon and the armor item, even though it's one item. And you can see the encumbrance is 0. So this just gives you the armor class for it, the armor for it, and then in the weapons would be the weapon component. Okay, so we got our weapons. Let's look at a weapon. So there's several pieces here. The damage roll, and this is the damage roll if you're not using weapon mastery rules or weapon proficiencies, whatever you call them. If you're not using a system like that, then this is the damage. If you are, then this number will stay the same on your item, but your weapon mastery will make it so that you're rolling potentially more damage. This is the type of damage. Doesn't really affect too much right now. Can it do melee? Can it do a missile? Is it a natural weapon like claws or a bite? And can it be set like a spear? Then you got all kinds of info here. You got the size, the grip, the mastery, if there is one, the weapon type. This is for weapon mastery here, a lot of this stuff. How many you have, what's the max? If it's a breath weapon, you would put the type of breath. does the weapon have a saving throw you can make against it? And if not, is there damage associated with it? So for like a breath weapon or something. If it's ranged, what's the short, medium, and long range of it? The max range for those three. And then ammo type it uses, if it does use ammo. So there's a lot to a weapon. The players normally don't see that. They're just going to see this stuff in the description. Okay. We have general skills. These are just different things the player can be good at, and it's always an ability roll, and then depending on the level you get a bonus. We have, let me close this. We have magic items, and as I said, you can have magic items, and here we see it just says banded male and unidentified. So not until it's identified would we see that full thing. And we can see the armor bonus there I was talking about. Okay. Special abilities. So there's class abilities. They are a special ability. There are exploration abilities. These are special abilities. And that's just the item type. It's called a special ability. And then there's a category. So the category would be exploration. The category for like the cleric's divine spellcasting would be class ability. And the special abilities are very flexible. They offer all kinds of advanced handling. You can't do tables with them, roll tables, but it has some pretty good roll formulas. You can reference the actor in the roll and the target. You can have an auto success, an auto fail. You can have a saving throw required. You can mod it with an ability modifier, the ability score, like strength, whatever. It can have a damage or a heal or both. So there's a lot that this can do. The key is the class in this case that this would be for, because there are multiple special abilities with the same name, and so this identifies it as the one for that class. Saving throws. Saving throws are also a special ability. That means you can make your own saving throws. If you're doing a different system that doesn't have these saving throws, you make your own. And you'd see the category is saving throw. Alright, then we have our spells. Spells are pretty straightforward. You got a name, level, range, duration. Can you target yourself? Can you target another person? And a saving throw. Is there a saving throw? Then there's some additional things down here, which aren't. This is used, the duration roll, but some of these aren't really used. I guess the heal and damage are. So yeah, a lot of them are. Okay. Treasure. Treasure is going to be your currency. And this is its own item type. It's currency. There's all the different gems and their values per various rules. Sources have detailed what the different gems are, and so. And then we have our weapon proficiencies or weapon mastery, whatever you call it, depending on the system. And the way this works is if you have this enabled, you will have your different levels of proficiency and the different modifiers it will apply. Okay, let's look at the configuration. This is the encumbrance tracking. We have a few different kinds. We have none, so just no encumbrance tracking. Maybe the dungeon master takes care of it or whatever. Or you just don't worry about it. Then there's armor only, and that's only going to track the weight of the armor. And in armor only mode, it doesn't even have coins. It's just, is it light, medium, or heavy? And the movement is calculated from that. You have Classic, which is going to be like Basic Expert, OSE, and all those clones. And then you have Dark Dungeons, which is going to be a detailed, everything's accounted for encumbrance system. The Classic will take your armor, it will take your treasure, and if I'm not mistaken, and then it will do 80 coins for your gear. I think that's the standard mini game systems. So your equipment is just considered to be 80, but it does tally your treasure and your armor and your weapons, I believe. And then we have abbreviated ability names. That's just if you want to see STR or strength or whatever it is in the language you're using. Short saving throw names, same thing for the saving throws. The initiative formula, so when you're rolling initiative, maybe you don't want a D6 because you don't want to deal with ties as much or whatever. You can change this to whatever you want. There's different initiative modes. You have individual. Individual is really simplified. It's just whoever rolls what, that's the order it goes in. And that's it. Oh no, it does take into account initiative modifiers, which I believe is dexterity. Then you have individuals, or you have individual. Individual adds two-handed weapon rule, so two-handed weapons or slow weapons, they lose initiative. That's what that adds. Then you have individual combat checklist. So this is using the combat checklist, but individual. So it sorts by whatever they declare their actions to be. Then we have a group combat checklist. This is going to be your generic way to do it because you have a combat checklist where, let's say, missile attacks go first and things like that. And so it sorts everything for you. Finally, you have a group hybrid individual. So this is like the group, but it factors in the initiative bonus, and it adds in the two-handed weapon rule within a group's inner sort. So the group wins initiative. Yeah, they all get to go first, but the last guys are the ones that are doing the two-handed weapons. So there's a lot of options there. This is where you specify what the modifier is. So no modifier to the group initiative or to the group initiative roll. Then we have what happens when you change rounds. Do you reset the initiative? Do you keep it? Do you re-roll it? Is the declared actions. So do you require your players to declare actions? And they can do so with the UI in this if you want them to. This is how many rest turns, like how many turns. So a value of 6 basically would mean you have to rest once every 6 turns. Remember collapse state, that just does and that may be broken, the collapse state of some of the different things on the character sheet. You can log character sheet changes. This is useful if things are happening and you're like, why is this changing? This will generate a lot of chat messages for the GM, but it can be useful for debugging things. Die roll toast, you want to see little toasts pop up for the different actions that the players are performing. You can turn that off if you don't like that. Is weapon mastery enabled? And finally, what kind of to hit system? So you've got Thaco only, no attack matrix, so it's just straight Thaco. And whatever the Thaco is, that's what your target, the Thaco minus the target's armor class. You've got classic, and classic is going to be like old school essentials or basic expert or all those games, basic fantasy, all those. It uses that lookup. Then you have the heroic combat matrix, which is going to be more like D&D and Dark Dungeons. And then there is a specific different Dark Dungeons, which even has some different values. We normally use this one. Then there's the ascending armor class and attack bonus, which it's similar to Thaco, but it's using the ascending armor class. No roll matrix. Okay, so there's that. There's that. All right, well, so that is an overview of how to set the system up. and what all the things mean. Aside from the most important, I guess, is create a character. Let's see the character creation process. So we're going to say create character, and we'll call our character Grom. So here we have our character sheet. I'm going to change this, the tabbed sheet. The tab sheet has little tabs. Drag my guy out here. Alright, so I'm going to roll 3 dice 6 down the line. I'm going to pop out my chat window and see what I get. Okay, so we got 13, 9, 13, 10, 8. Oof. That's the worst one. And 12. Alright. So then we'll pick a class, and I could just type in the class, or I could drag and drop it. We'll drag and drop it to show you how that works. I'll be a fighter. We'll roll our hit dice. Make sure to subtract 1 from that, so we're an awesome fighter with 3 hit points. Of course, we need to bring in our exploration, and a lot of this stuff isn't automated. The saving throws can be because of the way how it works in the system, but the exploration, you may have different ones for different character types and things like that. So drag these in. I probably could have just dragged the whole folder. All right. So we got that set. See how much money he has. Okay, he's got 100 gold pieces, so let's drag his currency in. We'll start with the coin purse. Now, we know he has 100 gold, but we'll give him 80 gold, or we'll give him 90 gold, sorry. Not 90. 10 gold worth of silver, so that'd be 90 silver and 100 copper. Buy a backpack. Buy the gear. Once we have the gear, you can see the class abilities already here. We could, if you're allowing your characters to have skills, they could, oops, want to close that. Could pick their skills. Let's do, we'll just pick one to show. Got the muscle skill. And a fighter would get 4 weapon masteries, so let's give them a short bow, the sword, normal, spear, and a dagger. There you could write about your guy, what languages. And then the game master can keep certain things in here. Alright, so there's your character. Let's get the weapon and we'll equip it. And we'll call it there. Sword. Give him a few weapons. We'll give him a sword. Maybe he didn't have enough money for the rest of that stuff. He's going to have to work up to it. Armor. We'll say he bought chainmail. So we'll say, he's down to 2 gold pieces. Let's just guess. So there he is. We'll equip that. And that'll show here. And there you go. All right. That's it for this one.